So you're heading into retirement, and you hear about this thing called an RMD, a required minimum distribution. Sounds kind of complicated, right? Well, the government eventually wants you to start taking money out of your savings. But don't worry. Understanding how these work is absolutely key to making sure more of your hard-earned money stays with you, not with the tax man. Let's break down how you can master them.
Think about it. You've done everything right. You've been saving diligently your entire career in your 401k or IRA. And then, just when you think you're finally in the driver's seat, Uncle Sam taps you on the shoulder and says, hey, it's time to start taking that money out and, oh yeah, pay taxes on it. Doesn't matter if you actually need it or not. That right there is the whole challenge with RMDs.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to cover the basics of this mandatory payout. Then, we'll get into something I call the RMD tax trap and why it can be such a headache. After that, the most important part, 6 really smart strategies to help you take back control. And finally, we'll wrap up by talking about how to plan your next move.
All right, let's start at square one. You can think of RMDs as just an unavoidable part of the retirement journey. The government gave you a pretty sweet tax break to help you save all that money, and now it's their turn to get their share. So what is an RMD? Put simply, it's the minimum amount the IRS says you have to take out each year from your tax-deferred accounts. We're talking traditional IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, that whole bunch. For decades, your money got to grow without taxes taking a bite. RMDs are how the government finally gets to collect. But, and this is a huge but, remember the big exception, Roth IRAs. If you're the original owner, you don't have to take RMDs from a Roth. That's a game changer.
Now, the starting age for RMDs has kind of been a moving target lately, thanks to some new laws. It can get a little confusing, but this chart makes it super simple. If you were born between 1951 and 1959, your journey with RMDs starts at age 73. But if you were born in 1960 or later, you get a little more runway. Your RMDs don't kick in until age 75. Knowing which group you're in is step 1.
Okay, so you got to take some money out, no big deal, right? Well, this is where we get into what I call the RMD tax trap. It's more than just a little inconvenience. It can actually create some serious financial ripples if you're not ready for it.
This is a perfect picture of the domino effect. That mandatory withdrawal counts as taxable income. So boom, that extra income could be just enough to bump you into a higher tax bracket. But it doesn't stop there. It can also trigger taxes on more of your Social Security benefits, and it can even jack up your Medicare premiums. All of a sudden, that perfect retirement budget you made can get thrown way off balance.
And what if you just ignore it? What if you don't take the withdrawal? Well, the IRS has a pretty painful penalty waiting for you. The tax for failing to take your full RMD is a whopping 25% of the amount you were supposed to take out. Now, you might be able to get that reduced to 10% if you fix your mistake quickly, but let's be real, that's still a very costly mistake you absolutely want to avoid.
But here's the good news. This is not a problem you just have to sit back and accept. There are some really powerful, totally legitimate ways to get ahead of this. So let's dive into 6 smart strategies you can use to manage your RMDs and take back control.
All right, strategy number 1 is a really popular one, and for good reason. The Roth Conversion. This is all about playing the long game. You're basically moving money from a tax-deferred bucket into a tax-free bucket, your Roth IR.
So here's the deal. You agreed to pay the income tax on the money you convert now, in today's tax rates. Why would you do that? Because once that money is in the Roth, it grows tax-free, you're qualified with withdrawals are tax-free, and here's the kicker, no more RMDs on that money. Every single dollar you convert is one less dollar that the government can force you to withdraw later.
Strategy number 2 is all about being proactive. Instead of just waiting around for the government to tell you it's time to withdraw, you get ahead of the game and start taking out smaller amounts earlier, but completely on your own terms. The logic here is really simple, but super effective. Once you hit 59.5, you can take money out of your IRA without penalty. So by taking out smaller amounts in those years leading up to your RMD age, especially in years when your income might be lower, you're shrinking the total account balance. And a smaller balance means, you guessed it, a smaller RMD and a smaller tax bill when the time comes.
Now, if you're someone who likes to give back, this next strategy is a fantastic win-win. It lets you support the causes you care about and handle your RMDs in a really tax-efficient way. This is called a Qualified Charitable Distribution, or QCD. Here's how it works. If you're 70 and a half or older, you can send up to $108,000 straight from your IRA to a charity. That donation can count toward your RMD for the year.
But here's the real magic. That money never even hits your tax return. It doesn't count as income at all. It's an incredibly powerful way to do some good in the world and lower your tax bill.
Okay, now we're getting into a more specialized tool. It's called a Qualified Longevity Annuity Contract, or QLAC for short. The easiest way to think about this is like hitting a pause button on a chunk of your RMDs.
This timeline shows you exactly how it plays out. You take a piece of your IRA money, up to $210,000, and buy this special annuity. Right away, that money is taken out of your RMD calculation, which means lower required withdrawals and lower taxes all through your 70s. Then, way later in life, up to age 85, the QLAC starts paying you a guaranteed income stream for life. So it's a tool for tax deferral now and income security later.
Our fifth strategy is probably the simplest one we'll talk about, but it's obviously not for everybody. If you love what you do and you plan on working past your RMD start age, you might be able to hit pause on distributions from your current job's retirement plan. But listen up, because the rules here are very, very specific. This exception only applies to the 401k plan at the company where you are currently working. It does not apply to your IRAs, and it doesn't apply to any 401ks from old jobs. You'll still have to take RMDs from those. And you can't be a major owner of the company. Still, if you fit the bill, it's a fantastic way to let that one account keep growing tax-deferred for a little longer.
Okay, our final strategy isn't about one specific product, it's really more of a mindset. It's about taking a step back, looking at the big picture, and making sure all of your retirement income sources are playing nicely together in the sandbox.
The whole goal here is to smooth out your taxable income from one year to the next. For instance, the last thing you want is a year where you turn on Social Security, get a big pension payout, and have to take a large RMD. That's a recipe for a tax nightmare. By planning ahead, you can manage your overall tax bracket. Maybe by pulling more money from your tax-free Roth accounts in a year when your other taxable income is already high. Phew, we've covered a ton of ground, haven't we? We've gone from the problem all the way through 6 different solutions. Now it's all about putting the pieces together and building a personalized playbook that actually works for you. So let's do a quick recap of the tools in your RMD playbook. You've got Roth Conversions to get that future tax freedom. You've got QCDs to support a cause you love while lowering your tax bill. A QLAC can help you defer taxes now and get guaranteed income later. Early withdrawals can smooth out your tax hit over many years. The still working rule buys you more time. And Smart Coordination helps you manage the whole shebang. You know, the biggest takeaway here is this. You have options. RMDs are mandatory, yes, but the strategy you use to deal with them is completely your call. So the question is, which one of these tools fits your life, your goals, and your values? That's the most important conversation you can have, and it's probably one you should have with a qualified professional who can help you build the right plan for your unique retirement. Thanks for tuning in.